Breaking news, the New York Knicks are expected to make an earth-shattering offer for Milwaukee Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo. What would a deal look like, and can New York actually get it done? We already know they're changing out their head coach. Tom Thibodeau has been fired. Are they about to significantly restructure their roster as well? I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Going to be obviously a crazy summer around the NBA, so hit that subscribe button. All right, this is from Jerry. Or is it Gary? Gary Wolfel said, could there be a Giannis Antetokounmpo Jason Kidd reunion in New York? There's a report the Knicks are asking Dallas officials permission to speak to Kidd about their vacant head coaching position. Yesterday, I was told the Knicks are preparing to make a tsunami-type offer to acquire Antetokounmpo from the Bucks. Kidd once coached Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. All right, I've got a video coming out a little later today about the Jason Kidd situation, the Mavericks, the Knicks, that whole dynamic, what that could potentially look like if the Knicks are trying to steal Jason Kidd away from the Milwaukee Bucks. However, one of the things that I mentioned in there is that Jason Kidd used to coach Giannis Antetokounmpo, which could matter to the Knicks if they do indeed try to get Giannis from the Bucks, because Jason Kidd already has that relationship with Giannis. We also talked about when Tom Thibodeau was first fired that the Knicks must have had some kind of reason to move on from Tom Thibodeau. They must already know where it was that they were going. After all, Tom Thibodeau, mission accomplished. He did what the roster was structured to do. The roster last summer was remade. They brought in Karl-Anthony Towns, they brought in Mikal Bridges, and they did it so they could contend with the Boston Celtics. They said, look, the roster that we had was not structured properly to beat the Celtics. We needed to beat the Celtics. We go and get Karl-Anthony Towns so we can play 5 out just like the Celtics do. And hopefully with our wing depth, with Bridges, with Josh Hart in the mix, of course, with OG Anunoby there, that they would be able to deal with the Celtics. And that's exactly what they did. They beat the Boston Celtics. You know, and I don't want to hear this whole, but Jason Tatum was injured thing. No, they were down 3-1 when Jason Tatum got injured. That's what happened to the Boston Celtics. The Knicks won, period. That's it. So the Knicks beat the Boston Celtics. Mission accomplished. Now, did Tom Thibodeau coach a perfect series against Indiana? Hell no, he didn't. No, plenty of mistakes that were made by Tom Thibodeau, and it was enough to where those in the Knicks front office who have been wanting to get rid of Tibbs were able to hold sway and move on from Tom Thibodeau. So now the Knicks have an opportunity here. But did they already know? Did they already know? You were firing a coach who you're now going to pay $30 million to not coach your team. And he just got you to the East Finals for the first time in 25 years. With those two factors alone, the amount of money you're going to now pay Tom Thibodeau to not coach your team, plus the fact that he was just the most successful coach you've had in 25 years, well, it stands to reason that they probably know who that next guy is going to be already. So is this the Knicks' big plan here? That they're going to go steal Jason Kidd away from the Dallas Mavericks. And again, I'm going to talk more about that later today. And then use Kidd as the lure to bring Giannis Antetokounmpo to New York. Is that the grand plan of the Knicks to bring home a title next year? What would their trade offer actually look like in order to get Giannis Antetokounmpo? Remember, the Knicks, the rumor is that even if they don't get Jason Kidd, there are other veteran head coaches that they're going to be interested in as well, specifically from Mark Stein, Michael Malone, Mike Brown, Taylor Jenkins, Frank Vogel, Mike Budenholzer, all guys that they think can step in and help them win right now. But clearly, if the goal is Giannis, as Gary Wolfel is saying that they're going to create this tsunami offer for Giannis, well, then Jason Kidd, their pursuit of him makes a hell of a lot more sense. So let's take a look. What could an offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo look like if you're the New York Knicks? Now, keep in mind that anything that we look at here and we say, well, the Knicks, they don't have that much young talent. What if Milwaukee wants young talent? What if they want young players and draft picks? Remember, we could be talking about, and we probably are talking about, a 3-team, a 4-team trade, something like that, where players could be leaving the Knicks and then getting other assets that go to Milwaukee, depending on what they want. Now, it's also possible if the Bucks are not able to get their own draft picks back in a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, which would mean you would have to get the New Orleans Pelicans or the Portland Trail Blazers involved in the deal. But if the Bucks are not able to get their own draft picks back, that's where suddenly the Bucks are going to want win now pieces back, because why bother losing if you don't have your own draft picks? There's no silver lining from getting a nice high pick out of losing Giannis Antetokounmpo and triggering a rebuild. Instead, you'd be looking for win now pieces to help you continue to play well. Now, again, perhaps they do incorporate the Pelicans or the Blazers or maybe both, as we saw the Brooklyn Nets do before they traded Bridges to the Knicks. They went and made sure they got their own picks back from the Houston Rockets in that trade that ultimately sent draft capital via the Phoenix Suns to the Houston Rockets, which now Houston is trying to use in order to woo maybe Kevin Durant away from the Phoenix Suns. It's a tangled web that we weave, everybody. But the bottom line, the New York Knicks could put together assets to help the Bucks win right now, or they could send those pieces somewhere else and get future assets if the Bucks are able, as part of this deal, to get back their own draft picks. But nonetheless, Karl-Anthony Towns potentially could be a guy that, despite the fact that he's been with the Knicks for a year, do they move on from him? In terms of salary matching, there you go, $53 million, boom, we're there. Are the Bucks willing to take back Karl-Anthony Towns in exchange for Giannis? That alone is not going to be enough. But could you do something like Towns and Bridges, and you're taking back some salaries? Could you take back Pat Connaughton or something like that? If you are the Knicks, could you take back Connaughton in the deal? Could you take back, and again, I'm not talking about even value-wise. Should the Knicks want to give up both Towns and Bridges, even though it is Giannis, and Giannis is an all-time great, obviously former MVP, incredible player, but could you take back some of the bad contracts? Could it be Giannis plus Pat Connaughton, and then you're throwing in something else in there? I don't know. Maybe it's Kyle Kuzma. Who knows what they do? But could you stack up a couple of deals? Because Towns for Giannis, straight up, I mean, the math is right there. You probably have to include a couple other contracts, but value-wise, that's not enough, obviously, for the Milwaukee Bucks. So you would want to get Towns plus Bridges or Towns plus Anunoby, and then attached to Giannis, you'd want it to be your not-so-desirable contracts with, I think Pat Connaughton would be the clear guy that would be added in there, because for sure he's picking up that player option. But then from there, the challenge the Knicks have is they don't have that much draft capital. They also don't have a lot of young talent. So if you're trying to get the Pels, say, or the Blazers to give back the Bucks picks, it's going to be difficult to do that because neither one of those teams is necessarily all in on winning right now. Would they be willing to sacrifice some of those Bucks picks in exchange for getting some of the Knicks players? Maybe Bridges winds up going to Portland, I guess. It could be New Orleans, but and then you have to figure out what salaries are going out of there. It gets a little bit tricky if you're trying to include any kind of draft capital. Now we look at the Knicks. They do have a pick coming next year from the Washington Wizards, but it's protected 1 through 10. So the challenge is with that pick being protected, it's most likely going to wind up being 2 second-rounders and not an actual first. Otherwise, that would be a really attractive asset. But we all saw how bad the Wizards were last year, and they have all incentive to be bad again next year. So they've got that protected first, the Knicks do, coming in, but it's most likely going to become seconds. But then the Knicks have their own 2026 first, but that's where suddenly you start running into trouble because, look, 2027 first, that already got sent to Brooklyn in the deal to land Mikal Bridges. Then you've got a pick swap with Brooklyn in 2028. You've got your first-round pick going to Brooklyn in 2029. The Knicks have their 2030 pick, but they can't trade that because the Stepien rule 2031 goes to the Brooklyn Nets. So a lot of the Knicks' future draft capital is already encumbered. So that's where, when we're just stacking up, what could the Knicks potentially offer? Let's say the base is Towns and Mikal Bridges. Look, if the Bucks are trying to win right now, that's got to have some kind of value. That has to be an attractive package for the Knicks to offer. But is that going to beat out a Houston Rockets offer that could include a young player, could include significant draft capital? Maybe you're talking about the Suns' draft capital. Could that beat an offer from the San Antonio Spurs if the Spurs pull their heads out of the sand and say, okay, we will give up Stephon Castle in order to put Giannis with Wemby? I talked about it yesterday. I think it's a little bit crazy that the Spurs are rumored to not even want to do that because they're so worried about the timeline or whatever. Get out of here with this timeline nonsense. Go get Giannis if you have a chance to get Giannis. But would that beat an offer from one of those two teams? I don't know about that. Not to mention the fact that, look, let's be honest, 29 teams are making the call on Giannis Antetokounmpo. What are the odds that somebody is going to find a way to beat that offer? But nonetheless, again, the reporting that the Knicks are going to make a tsunami-sized offer here for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Plus, we've already got maybe a little bit of the weirdness that they fired Tom Thibodeau already. You would have to think they would know who the person replacing him is going to be. And with now the rumors about Jason Kidd putting the puzzle pieces together, If they feel they can really get Jason Kidd and that can put him on a path to land Giannis, if that could get Giannis to go to the Bucks and say, hey, if the Knicks are close, I would prefer to go there. That could potentially swing things in the Knicks' favor when we're looking at the Knicks offer compared to the Rockets, compared to the Spurs, compared to some of these other teams that are out there, because the Bucks are probably going to try to, within reason, do right by Giannis Antetokounmpo and send him someplace that he wants to go. He brought a title to Milwaukee. They'll try to do right by him if he asks them to go someplace specific. So the pursuit of Jason Kidd by the New York Knicks could very well be linked to the pursuit of Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Knicks' big plan, why they fired Tom Thibodeau when they did. It could all be being revealed right now before us. Is the Knicks' plan Jason Kidd and Giannis Antetokounmpo? Give me your thoughts in the comments section down below. Don't forget to subscribe right here to the channel as well. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.